Taped from New Jersey, it's the SNL Nerds, the show where two comics from New Jersey nerd out about Saturday Night Live. I'm your co-host, Darren Patterson.
And I'm your co-host, John Trumbull.
Happy middle January, John Trumbull. Ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, I like how you wanted to launch into Happy New Year, and then you're like, oh no, wait, we're 2 weeks into the new year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you just course-corrected mid-sentence. That always amuses me.
That's how I do it.
When anybody does that, not just you, Darren.
Yes, okay. That's how when any of us do it. Yes.
But happy mid-January to you. Is that a thing? It's not really a thing, I feel like.
We should make it a thing. Absolutely.
Okay.
So how's the new year treating you? How, any of those New Year's resolutions holding? Did you make any New Year's resolutions?
Oh God. I mean, without getting into specifics, my 2023 went so horribly. It's really just survival.
Got it.
What about you? Did you make any?
Not really. I don't know. I always just figure my resolutions are just try to make my life a little bit better and
Yeah,
be better to people and
yeah, that's kind of how I am. I remember. Did you ever watch the show Babylon 5?
Did I? I'm confusing with Battlestar Galactica. No, I didn't watch Babylon.
All right.
5.
Well, there was a bit where one of the characters in Babylon 5, and I'll keep this spoiler free, but one of the characters he goes through like sort of a revelation, and he said like, I was trying to do more when I should have been doing better, and that's stuck with me ever since. So I'm trying to do better. I'm like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, trying to do better.
Yes.
And I think that's a good goal to have for the new year or at any point in the new year. You just try to do better. Try not to make the same mistakes twice. Try to be a little nicer to people. Try to be a little more understanding.
Have empathy, kindness, put a little love in your heart. Don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Crying out loud, the world's crumbling around us. Everything's on fire.
Yeah.
Be a decent person.
Just be kind. Kurt Vonnegut said that once. He was like, you got to be kind. Just be kind. And that's always a good start, I think.
Got to be cruel to be kind. In the right
measure.
In the right measure. Right. See, you got what I was putting down.
Oh, I mean, if you drop a Nick Lowe reference, I am going to pick that up, sir.
Yeah, I'm at my wit's end.
Yeah. Oh, I do love the Nick Lowe. Anyway, so yeah, I'm doing all right. So
nice.
This is what? This is like our last movie for the next few weeks because SNL will be back next week with a whole new episode.
That's right. Next week with Jacob Elordi and Renee Ratpapa. Because she has two P's in her last name. So
okay, you're just saying words now.
I can't tell you how many people, like when they announced who the new host was going to be, or at least in my feed, like, who the hell is this? I've never heard of this person before. So
I know you've explained who he is to me at least once or twice, and I've already forgotten. And no reflection on Jacob Elordi. I'm sure he's lovely. I'm just caught up in my own shit. So
yeah, like it's like apparently everybody I follow is an old. So it's not just me. We're all just like, who's that? Who's that whippersnapper?
Yeah, I'm just like, he sounds like a Lord of the Rings character. That's all I know.
Right. So it's all you need to know.
Yeah, but I mean, I try to keep an open mind, and maybe I'll discover somebody really cool, and I'll be like, hey, I really like the cut of this guy's jib. Maybe I'll really dig this new person.
Jacob Elordi.
Yeah, Jacob Elordi.
Yeah, he seems to be the hot new heartthrob Australian actor. He was in Euphoria, and he's in the most recent movie Saltburn, which a lot of my friends aren't wild about. But like aside from that, he seems to be a cool dude from what I know. So we'll see if he's got comedic chops. This kid.
That's good. And we unfortunately we had a couple significant passings in the SNL world. on Saturday, Tom Shales of the Washington Post passed away at age 79, and he was a co-author of Live from New York, the oral history of Saturday Night Live, which is, I mean, that's like our Bible, I think.
Yeah, like if you're an SNL nerd or SNL fan in any capacity, like I'd say it's mandatory reading. Like you
Yeah,
need to read this book for sure.
yeah, and he co-wrote the book with James Andrew Miller, and I mean, it is. I don't like to use the word definitive too much, but I would say that's like the definitive history of SNL. They talk to just about everybody who has been involved with the show over its long history,
Yeah.
and they
Uh,
came out with like a revised edition a few years back, as I recall.
yeah, I think I have that one. I gotta look
Yeah, your sister
give it a
gave it to
listen.
you like for
Yes.
Christmas or your birthday a few years
Oh, that's
ago.
right. Yeah. Hey, you're right.
I remember
But
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It's a damn good read. It's a damn good book. Very extremely thorough.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
got all the meat and potatoes in there you could want.
I mean, they go through every era of the show. They talk to writers, cast members, hosts, crew people. I mean, you get to know the show from every angle. It's an amazing read, and
Mm.
and I always like oral histories because you get to hear everybody's perspective unfiltered, um, and it's always fun when like two people's memories contrast with each other or they contradict each other.
Yeah, it's like I don't remember it like that.
I never called that person a medium talent. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh my god! One of the most legendary stories in the history of anything.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, yeah. So I was very sorry to hear that. He was a good writer, and yeah, and uh, he was one of the people. I think he was like one of the early critics of Conan O'Brien. That after a few years, he like changed his tune, and he's like, "Oh no, he's good," and I should have
Mm,
given him more of a chance. And I
yeah,
always thought that spoke well of him.
yeah. Like I do remember that. Like when Conan first got the gig, people were like, "Who is this kid?" I've never heard of him, and yeah, they're pretty hard because he had big shoes to fill. He was taken in for the god that is Letterman. So
Hmm.
yeah, I remember people being especially kind of hard on him, like especially because he was just a writer. He was not in the public eye really at all.
Yeah,
But as years go on, and Conan's proven himself, and everybody loves Conan O'Brien.
yeah, yeah. And we also had a another notable death in the SNL world, Brian McConaughey, who was he was a writer for National Lampoon, and he also wrote for Saturday Night Live and SCTV,
Damn.
and acted in Woody Allen films. I mean, what an amazing career that guy had.
Yeah. I believe he wrote on season 4 of SNL, if I'm not
Hmm.
mistaken. And yeah, he was just like an amazing talent, like you said. He wrote on SCTV, and I'm looking up his.
Yeah, let's see. He also appeared as an actor in Woody Allen's Husbands and Wives, Bullets Over Broadway, Don't Drink the Water, Deconstructing Harry, Celebrity, Small Time Crooks, and Curse of the Jade Scorpion. That's a
Yeah,
lot of stuff that Woody Allen did in the 90s, if I remember
yeah.
correctly.
And he was in Caddyshack. He played Drew Scott.
Yeah,
That's pretty
yeah.
fantastic.
So
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
yeah. And I believe he was one of the writers that was portrayed in the movie that we watched about Doug Kenny, Futile and Stupid Gesture.
Yes, yeah. I believe he was in that as well.
Yeah.
What else was he in? Like a ton of Woody Allen films. Like I said, Quick
Hmm.
Change. Uh,
We
with
really got to do a quick change on the podcast one of
I
these
would love
days.
to do. I would love to do Quick Change.
Yeah, yeah. We got to find out where that's streaming.
Okay.
That's one of those. It's like, well, how have we not done quick change yet? We got to do quick change.
I'm looking it up right now. It looks like it's on Roku and Tubi.
Okay, all right. Well,
Which,
those are two free services, as I recall. So this
yes,
sounds very possible. Let's
yes.
let's do this thing.
Damn, son, let's make it happen.
All right, all right. But we've got another movie that we're covering this week.
Oh, right. Yeah, we were talking about something else. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. This was a movie that you found. I think I remember you sent me the trailer for this. We're doing the movie Self Reliance, written, directed, and starring uh, Jack Johnson or Jake Johnson.
Yes, this movie literally just came out 2 days ago on Hulu,
Hmm.
folks. Like it's fresh out the box, hot out the oven, like brand spanking new movie. Jake Johnson, Andy Samberg,
Hmm.
Emily Hampshire from Schitt's Creek, Anna Kendrick. A pretty good cast.
Anna Kendrick, Natalie Morales,
Yes.
who I've seen in several things, and I've always liked seeing her pop up and stuff. Um, yeah, and you sent me the trailer, and you were like, "Hey, what do you think about doing this?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, this looks really cool. This looks really funny. I want to watch this."
Yeah, because like it just kind of yeah, just like popped up. The premise sounded interesting,
Hmm.
and then I saw that like oh wow, it was written and directed by Jake Johnson. And like Jake Johnson, I don't know, like he's always seemed like one of those guys who people kind of know him, but he's not like outside of the comedy nerd bubble. I don't think he's like super well known in the mainstream. I mean, like the most mainstream things he's done, he's probably well known for is New Girl, of course,
Yeah,
and Peter B. Parker in the Across the Spider Verse movies.
yeah. I mean, he's probably one of those actors. He's at the level of fame. Like if you showed somebody a picture, you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I've seen that guy and stuff." But
Yeah,
people might not be able to name him cold. And I'm not saying this as any kind of criticism. He's that's just the level of fame he's at. But I mean, he's great. I mean, I've liked him in most everything I've seen him in. He's a very funny guy.
yeah, and like I always thought, like when it said he wrote it and directed, I was like, oh wow, he's writing movies now. Okay, but then I looked into it and it's like, oh wait, no, this is the fourth movie he's written
Hmm.
that came out. Like I had no like he wrote this one film called Digging for Fire, Win It All in
Hmm.
2017 that had Joe Truglio and Keegan Michael Key. This other film called Ride
Oh,
the
I want to see that. I'm going to add that to my watch list.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love all three of those guys.
He did this film Ride the Eagle that has him, J.K. Simmons, Susan Sarandon, and Darcy Carden from The Good Place.
And
Uh,
Barry.
and Barry, yeah, and yeah, and like his first film that he wrote was Digging for Fire, which also has Jenny Slate, Mike Birbiglia, Sam Rockwell, Brie Larson, Sam Elliott, and
Hmm.
Anna Kendrick, who's also in this film.
Yeah, and I know Jake Johnson. He's also worked with Anna Kendrick before this. They did a movie called Drinking Buddies together,
Yes,
which
that
I don't know if you've seen it, but I quite like that movie, and it's like a half improvised movie as I recall. I think it was one of those movies where like they kind of curb your enthusiasm a bit, where they knew what was supposed to happen in the scene, but then the actors improv the dialogue themselves.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that movie, but I never got a chance to see it. Like I also know Olivia Wilde and Sudeikis were in it as well. I'm not sure if that's the film they met on, but I remember them
Um,
both being in it.
Sudeikis in it. The main four are Jake Johnson, Anna Kendrick, Olivia Wilde, and Ron Livingston.
Okay.
Those are the main four, and Sudeikis, I think he might be in there somewhere as a bit part or something. Yeah, but I
Okay.
can't recall for sure. But it's worth seeing. It's a good movie.
Okay. I'll give it a shot. Yeah, I remember people saying it was pretty good, but I just never got around to seeing it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so basically Jake Johnson, he's kind of been doing his thing for a while, writing movies, like little small indie films and getting getting his name out there. But like I don't think, like I said, like he doesn't have like that big kind of mainstream. He's not that well known in the mainstream, which is probably fine. I mean, maybe that's the way he likes it. Uh,
I mean that strikes me as like a good level of fame to have, where
yeah,
you're recognizable, you're appreciated for your work, you're cast in interesting things, you get to do the occasional passion project, but you can still go to the grocery store.
I think that's yeah. When I become famous, and I will, I think that's the level of fame I'm going to go for, where people know me. Yeah, like yes, of course, I'm that person that makes you laugh on that hilarious podcast. Yes, I am amazing,
Hmm.
and but I can still walk amongst the common folks, the rabble, if you will. I can
Right.
still go to the store and get things like and I'm still treated like one of them, even though of course I'm
You are
so
so
much
much
better.
better and so much
Yes,
above them.
of
Yeah.
course, but I can still walk amongst them, John.
Right.
That's how good I am. That's how
You have
amazing
not
I am.
lost the common touch. I mean, I think this is why you are going to become super duper famous, is
Yep,
because your hard work and of course your modesty.
of course, absolutely. That's what I have printed on T-shirts.
Yeah,
I just went.
that's what's on all the business cards that you hand out to people, and
Yep,
whenever you run into them in the real world.
that's
You gave
right.
me one. You gave me one last week. I thought that was odd. I was like, I've known you for the better part of a decade now, sir. Um,
I I have no recollection. I thought this was the first time we're meeting, but if
okay,
you say that we've known each other for the better part of a decade, I'll believe you because I trust you, sir.
right,
And that's the kind of beautiful omnipotence that I grant lesser thans because I'm that good a person.
right. So anyway, he wrote and directed this movie, Self Reliance.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This movie, like I saw the trailer for it. I thought it was a pretty interesting premise.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we start in this movie. He plays this guy Tom Walcott,
yeah,
who's a average guy, not married, no dependents, no kids.
yeah.
He recently moved back in with his mom after his
In
breakup.
his 30s, so you know things are going great for him.
Things are things. It's all going according to plan.
Yeah,
Uh,
we find out over the course of the movie that it was like a 23-year relationship, I believe he says.
yeah, but I mean, like, dude, what happened?
Yeah, yeah,
I
because
mean, yeah, I mean, they made
they weren't married, but they were, essentially married in everything but name, and they'd been together since they were like 15 years old. So I'm like,
right.
oh, okay, I totally understand why this guy is in a depressive state.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yeah,
that's got to be a blow.
yeah, and they basically show him going through his everyday thing. Like he wakes up, he works out on the exercise bike, walks
Hmm.
to work. He has like an office job, stares at a computer. After
Yeah,
work, he goes get a drink at the same restaurant, comes
yeah.
home, goes to sleep, and then just repeats the exact same thing over and over, day in, day out.
Oh boy, yeah.
Ugh.
I think most people can identify with that to some degree because yeah, you get stuck in these cycles.
Yeah, he's definitely stuck in a cycle, stuck in a rut, just going through the motions, just he's surviving, but he ain't
Yeah,
really living.
yeah, and you see him like just walking. I think he was walking back home from work, and then like a limo pulls up next to him. The window rolls down, and inside is Andy Samberg.
TV's Andy Samberg.
TV's Andy Samberg playing himself, Andy
Yeah.
Samberg. And I think this is the first movie we've ever covered on this podcast where the SNL alum in the movie is playing himself.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen that often. I kind of wish it did though, but more. But yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, the only other example I can think of offhand is Bill Murray playing himself in Zombieland.
Oh yeah. Oh, didn't he
But we
also play?
haven't covered that, so
Didn't there like a Jim Jarmusch film where he played himself, where he's talking to two members of the Wu Tang Clan, like Coffee and Cigarettes? I think it's called.
maybe I don't know. I know of that movie. I don't know if he plays himself in that. But
It's
anyway,
been
Andy Samberg is
okay.
playing himself in this movie.
Yeah. And so basically, Andy is like, "Hey, do you want to get into the limo?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And
Yeah, he's so nonchalant about it. He doesn't. Yeah, uh, it's it's very amusing. I mean, this film it amused me consistently throughout. I think.
yeah, and then like, so he gets into the limo. They drive off, and then Andy Samberg just reads off a card that
Yeah,
he's been selected, but Andy Samberg's not sure what for. Like,
yeah.
some people just kind of pay him to pick him up,
Hmm.
and but they only give him like a few things to say. Like basically, they read off all this info about Tom and say he's been selected for this game. Do you want to continue, or do you want to drop you off? And then Tom is like, yeah, sure, I'll do it."
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he's like, "Really? Why? Why are you doing? You don't know me."
yeah. He doesn't even really know what he's agreeing to, and so the limo takes him to this warehouse and just drops him off, and he's like, "Oh yeah, just go in there. There's like red arrows on the walls and the floor that'll point you to where you need to be."
Yeah, yeah. I also like Tom's answer because like Andy Samberg does say like, "Well, why do you want it? You don't know anything about what you're getting into." And then he's like,
Yeah,
"Yeah, but my life now is kind of a rut, and this is the most exciting thing that's happened to me in forever. So
yeah,
like my choices are just to go with this or just go back to my regular boring life, and this seems like a better choice." And
yeah.
Andy's like, "Well, not necessarily. This could be fucking anything."
This could be horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But Tom's like, "No, this is gonna be better." And yeah, so basically, he goes into this empty warehouse. There's behind his desk. There's these two people.
Two
Uh,
dudes, yeah.
yeah, Magnus and Anders. I'm reading off IMDb,
Uh
and
huh.
they basically present him with this, like the offer to be on the biggest reality show on the dark web,
Yeah.
and they basically say that you have to stay alive for 30 days whilst being hunted by people who are trying to kill you.
Whilst, okay, so
Yes,
a British person wrote this summary.
yes, absolutely.
Whenever somebody uses the word whilst or whilst, I'm not even sure how you pronounce it because I'm an ignorant American. I'm just like, oh, that's a British person.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, and then they tell them, yeah, like we've bugged your house. There's cameras everywhere. We have PAs everywhere to set up, cameras and listening devices everywhere. Like they
Right.
go in and out. You won't even know they're there. Tom says, "Oh, they're like ninjas, like PA ninjas." And
They're like, no, they're just production assistants.
yeah, and then, but then Tom is like, "Well, I don't know if I can do this because like, what happens if one of these hunters kills like my mom or my sister or somebody I love?"
Right.
And then the producers are like, "No, we've taken that into account. You will only be attacked and killed when you are alone, when there's no one
Yeah.
around."
And
And
and so Tom is immediately like, "Oh, there's a loophole." So he immediately thinks I can beat the system as long as I'm around somebody constantly for the next month. I can do this and I can get this $1 million.
yeah,
And then the two guys are like, "Well, no, I mean it doesn't really work like that." And Tom's like, "No, no, loophole, loophole." It's very funny.
it is.
He is so confident without having much reason to be, which is one of the funniest comedic notes you can play. I think
Yes,
I love people playing unearned confidence.
unearned confidence. It's the way to be, baby.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so he hears this loophole, and then he's like, "All right, so all you have to do is just be around people, and
right,
for 30 days, and I'll be good." And also, they said that the hunters are all around the world, so they'd have to find him first
right.
in
Yeah,
order.
they've got to track him down because I don't think they advertise that who he is. They have to figure
Right,
out who the latest contestant is. So they're like, they could. It's possible they could not even find you in a month's time.
right,
So
so,
you could just have a totally uneventful month.
right. So, but Tom hears that and is like, "I like those odds," and he agrees.
Yeah,
Which I don't. That yeah, this all sounds super sketchy, but he agrees to it, and yeah, the
yeah,
game is on. The game's afoot. He says yes.
yeah, yeah. And then we see him with his family. He's with his mom, who he's living with now. He's with his like his two sisters, and then one of his sisters is married, I believe. So
Yes. His two sisters, Amy, played by Mary Holland, Mary, played by Emily Hampshire, and Amy's husband, Malcolm, played by Daryl J. Johnson. Sorry.
Daryl J. Johnson. Okay.
No
Any
relation to.
relation to? No relation.
I'm
Okay.
gonna I'm gonna assume no, but I'm just making an assumption because
Yeah.
Daryl J. Johnson is a black man.
Okay. All right. Well, black people can be related to white people, Darren.
They can't. You know what? I apologize. Let me check my ignorance. That is
Yeah.
correct. That's very true.
Get get woke, Darren.
Yes, I apologize.
Come on, man.
I'm learning. I'm growing. I'm trying.
Do better.
I'm
Do
doing
better.
better. I know. I ugh, be better, be best.
Yeah. So
But
anyway, we have no idea if they're related or not.
yeah, but
Yeah.
hey, let us know. Let us know, listeners, if they are.
Let us know. Let us know. Or, Jake Johnson, write to us. Let us
Yeah,
know.
like you down, brother? uh, so yeah, Tom tells his family about the contest, and of course, none of them believe him because this all sounds
Yeah.
insane.
Because he's telling them all the insane details. Like I was picked up by Andy Samberg in a limo. Because it sounds, and they react exactly how someone would react if you told them that in life.
Yeah,
They're just like, okay, yeah, that's weird. Are you going through a breakdown? What's going on, buddy?
you okay,
You've been
bud?
really depressed since your relationship ended.
You okay, bud?
And I think that's the scene where we get some of the backstory on he's been living with his mother for like going on 2 years since
Yeah,
his relationship ended, and we see early on. Tom, he's going up to his ex's door, and he's like trying to ring the doorbell, but he can't psych himself up to do it because
Yeah.
the relationship ended, and we find out he doesn't really know why it ended.
Yeah. Like after 23 years, she dumped him,
Yeah,
and he never got an answer as to why, and
yeah,
he never bothered to just ask her, or he doesn't. He can't ask her. Like
yeah. He can't bring
like
himself, and
yeah, like 23
I,
years.
I,
Damn.
I can get that. I can get that. And like sometimes you don't have the guts to ask the question because you know whatever the answer is going to be, it's not going to be good. So it can
Yeah.
be really tough to steel yourself up to ask that question sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then we also learned, like, the mom mentions, like, "Are you sure you're not hallucinating this whole thing with Andy Samberg? Are you sure this isn't, you're not upset about your ex who,
Yeah.
left you and now has a baby
Hmm.
and just kind of moved on with her life?"
Yeah.
And yeah, we learned he's not in a great place.
Yeah. We also learn. I think it might have been in this scene. We learned that um, uh, Tom's father left the family years and years ago.
Yes, yes, that comes back later. But yes, the dad
Yeah.
is out. He just like he literally just like one day just picked up and bounced,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is fucked up.
So Tom's plan is I'm going to just hang around my family constantly for the next month, the next 30 days, and it'll be great. And we see him with his stepbrother, and he's like, okay, well, I gotta hang out with you, and brother's like, well, okay, well, you're fine to just crash on the couch or whatever. And Jake Johnson's like, no, 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 I gotta be in the same bed as you because I have to be within 3 feet of somebody.
Yeah, because like at first he can't stay with his mom because his mom is like a nurse at a hospital and she works nights.
Right.
So he has to be with somebody because he also starts to get kind of paranoid. He's like he thought he heard a noise one night and he wakes up and he finds like this small black pellet like sort of
Hmm.
outside of his door, and
Right.
he kind of convinced himself that it's actually a camera, even though it never gets confirmed that it is a camera. It's really like a small like buckshot looking thing, but
Yeah,
he
yeah.
thinks
He's
it's a
like
camera.
calls his mom, who's on her shift at the hospital, so she really doesn't have time for this shit. And he's like, "This could be a camera. It could be a rat dropping. I'm not sure." And she's like, "Well, if it's a rat dropping, you should throw it away and wash your hands because that's filled with all sorts of diseases."
Yeah,
Uh,
it's pretty gross.
yeah, it's a funny movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, so then he goes over to, like you said, like his I guess brother-in-law's house.
Yeah, we'll say it's
To
his brother-in-law. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and like of course he says like we have to sleep in the same bed, and of course Malcolm is not wanting not doesn't want to do that.
yeah. He's like, that's not happening, dude. That's you're welcome to stay on the couch. I'm not sleeping in the same bed as you.
Yeah,
And then of course they cut to like the two of them in bed together.
yeah. But then they did have this one funny scene I thought where like Tom wakes up during in the middle of the night, and Malcolm isn't in bed with him, and then he looks out
Right.
the window and he sees somebody in the shadows with the shotgun ready to take him down, and then he like freaks out. He's like,
Yeah.
Malcolm, Malcolm, where are you? And he's like, oh, I'm in the bathroom taking a shit. And then he
Yeah.
just kicks in the door while
Yeah.
Malcolm's on the toilet. Is
And he makes Malcolm like get up off the toilet so he can show the person out the window.
Yeah,
Look,
like
I'm with somebody. You can't shoot me now.
he physically pulls him up, like I'm with somebody, I'm with somebody. And Malcolm's like, what are you doing? I'm taking it, like
Yeah,
pants
that is
down.
not,
Yeah,
not something you want somebody to do that when you're in the bathroom having a private moment dropping a deuce.
yeah, violation.
But very funny.
Very funny, yeah. Like, and of course, uh, Malcolm. I mean, after that, Malcolm's like, yeah, you gotta go.
Yeah,
And
you're not yeah, you've stepped over the line.
yeah,
So
yeah. So, but yeah, but I
yeah,
mean,
then his other brilliant idea. You're about to get to that?
yeah, yeah. Like, so basically, as he leaves, they both see this homeless man going through Malcolm's garbage, and
Right,
then Jake just said, "Just keep an eye on me until I go to the homeless guy, and
right.
then I'll be out of your life." So then, of course, uh, then Tom befriends this homeless man
Yeah,
named James,
James.
played by Biff Whiff.
That is an awesome name, Biff Whiff.
Yeah, I looked him up. Yeah, he's done some stuff. He was in
Is
he
that
was
his given name or is that his stage name? Is that an alias or is that his given name?
I don't know. I'll look it up. But yeah, like I mean, but Biff Whiff, he's done. It's got to be his. What is Biff Whiff?
I don't know. Yeah, if you have the last name Whiff, are you naming your kid William? Or well, no, I guess it wouldn't be. I guess Biff isn't short for what? What is Biff short for? Is Biff short for anything? I don't even know.
Bifford? I don't know.
I don't think Bifford's a name.
Biff
Yeah,
Biffington? Biffu?
I'm very curious now. I don't know. How do
Biffo-
you become named Biff Whiff?
Biffolomew? I don't know.
Bartholomew. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. But yeah, he was also in Everything Everywhere All at Once. And he
Okay.
did 2 episodes of I Think You Should Leave with Tim Robinson.
Oh, okay. All right. So, okay, cool. Cool. I was
Yeah.
just he was not really familiar to me. I'm like, okay, is this I'm assuming this is an actor, but who knows? Maybe they hired an actual homeless person. Who
Yeah.
knows?
See, they're giving jobs to the jobless.
It's he had the verisimilitude. I bought him as a homeless dude.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Uh, but yeah, it turns out James is actually a pretty cool guy. He's really chill.
I mean, if you're just gonna hire a random homeless person to constantly shadow you for a month, you could do a lot worse.
Yeah, yeah, James is all
Yeah,
right. This like
he seems like a pretty understanding guy. He doesn't seem to have any real mental or mentical um,
mental.
issues. Uh, so yeah, he seems like a good enough guy to to shadow him, and Tom's like, "I'll pay you $100 a day," and and
Mm,
James is like, "Sold,
big big money.
big money." I mean, I'd take that gig.
Damn straight. What? Cold hard cash? What?
Yep.
Forget about it.
So
So yeah, so now the sister Tom's sisters and his moms are becoming a little bit more concerned
yeah,
because
yeah,
he tried to yank his brother-in-law off the toilet, and
yeah,
B, now he's living with a homeless person.
yeah, yeah.
So, what's going
And
on?
we're only like I think less than a week into the month at this point. Like periodically throughout the movie, they just like flash like day 7,
Yeah.
day day 12, day 18, and so you're tracking the month as the movie goes.
Yeah, so like this happens around day 7, like a weekend.
Yeah, I
So
thought so. Yeah.
yeah, so they show Tom and James really enjoying each other's company, and just like
Hmm.
you get the nice little montage as the days go by.
Yeah.
Um, you know, uh what's it?
They're
James
hitting it off. They're
they're hitting it off. Tom takes James to work with him,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we see Tom's coworkers kind of being like, "Hey, what's going on here?"
What's with the dude in the scraggly beard who's just accompanying you for no reason?
Yeah, and and then we jump to day 13. We find out we see Tom's with his sister
Yeah,
Mary, and like it looks like they're outside some type of club, and then
yeah,
Mary kind of fills in that Tom got fired from his job from
yeah,
bringing James home, and because now Tom doesn't have a job, his mom kicked him out of the house.
yeah, yeah. So it turns out that most workplaces kind of frown on you bringing a homeless dude to work with you.
What's the world coming to, man?
Yeah, and
I'm sorry, I thought this was America.
yeah, yeah. And he also like when Tom is out at the club with his sister and with his new friend James, James is late getting there for some reason, and he doesn't know why. So Tom is very concerned. Like his sister's going inside the club, and he's like, "No, no, no! I can't be alone. The assassins will make the hunters will make a play for me if they know that I'm alone, and James isn't here yet. You can't go in yet." And his sister goes in anyway, and
Yeah.
then minutes later, Tom is assaulted by this 7-foot dude. So
Yeah, I looked it up. So that guy is Boban Marjanovic,
uh huh.
who's a basketball player for the Houston Rockets.
Okay. All right.
So
So
let's get a little sports in there, little sports
yeah.
person
So
in
we
there.
find out this apparently is a for real thing. It isn't just some elaborate scam or
Right.
some hallucination. There are actually people after him.
See, but that's the thing. Like, I think throughout this movie, they do kind of plant the notion that this might be like all going in his head, in Tom's head, because
Mm,
like he only gets attacked when there's nobody else around, like when he's by himself, like no one else is really there to like confirm this story is real. So that's why everybody thinks he's kind of crazy. And they do, I think they do kind of play with that a little bit with us, the audience. Like, is this all happening in his mind? Like that pebble he found.
uh-huh.
Like, is that a camera? Is it just a pebble? Like,
Yeah, there's never like an objective shot. Like, most movies would just show like the point of view of the camera and you see like a really big Jake Johnson head from the camera's POV. But yeah, you never see that. And he is always attacked when he's alone. So yeah, I
right.
guess they are playing with that a little bit.
A little bit. Oh, and we forgot to mention that earlier in the movie, Tom mentions that he put out an ad in Craigslist, like looking for somebody to shadow him for
Right.
this game show he's in, this dark web game show he's in, and then he gets a response from somebody. He gets a response
Yeah.
from Maddie, played by Anna Kendrick, and she says, "Yes, I'm also in the game. We should meet up and
Right.
talk and whatnot."
Yeah. And they're both like a little paranoid. He's like, okay, well, how do I know you're not one of the hunters out to get me? And she's like, well, how do I know you're not one of the hunters out to get me? And so they agree to meet in a public place. She's like, he's like, do you have any yellow clothing? Wear something yellow so I can identify you. And she's like, okay, I have a sweater with a banana on it. And he's like, okay, great, wear that. And then and so we see him the next day. He goes to this bar with his friend uh, uh, James, and he meets up with her. She's wearing like a light yellow top, and he's like, "Why aren't you wearing the banana sweater?" And she's like, "Oh well, I felt self conscious, so I'm wearing this. It's yellow."
It's fine. You get it. You found me.
Yeah,
What's the problem?
yeah. Uh, and they talk a bit, and he's like, how many days are you into the game? I'm like 10 days in. And she's like, oh, I'm 11 days in, so she's gonna end like a day sooner than him.
Right, right,
And yeah, and they're just kind of feeling each other out just to see how much they can trust each other and if they can hang out or if they can get
right.
along for
Uh,
the full month
Yeah, and I
or
think
20 days, I suppose.
yeah, and I think she earned Tom's trust by bringing her mom with her. Like she
Yeah,
just like her mom is like on in the next table over at the
yeah.
restaurant.
He's like, how
So
do I know that's your mom? And she's like, hey, mom. And then her mom's like, oh, hey.
yeah. So then they all go back to Maddie's house with the mom, because it seems like Maddie's living with her mom
Yeah, she
too.
seems to have a lot in common with Tom, with Jake Johnson. She's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, my dad, he he passed away a number of years ago. He was killed by a drunk driver. Actually, he was the drunk driver.
Yikes.
It's very funny. Like Jay Johnson and Anna Kendrick, they have a nice kind of offbeat chemistry together,
They really
and
do. Like
I enjoyed it. And I think it's because they did that movie Drinking Buddies together before, so I
yeah.
would assume they obviously hit it off from there. And I mean, I'm just like, hey, this doesn't seem like too bad of a deal. You get to hang out with Anna Kendrick for the better part of a month. I mean, yeah, sign me up for that.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
She seems delightful.
She does. She seems like a delight.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I mean, both like Anna Kendrick in life and her character in this movie. They both seem equally delightful.
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then the two of them get to talking, Tom and Maddie. Tom tells her about uh his ex, who like
Hmm.
after 23 years just left him, and she doesn't know why, and
Yeah.
he never asked. And of course Maddie's like, "All right, we're going to go to our house right now and figure this out, cuz
Yeah. Yeah. We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
this is insane that you haven't asked."
Yeah. Yeah. And we have a big thing where he goes to his ex's house. His ex is named Teresa. She's played by Natalie Morales, who I've seen in like a bunch of stuff. She did a sitcom, and I can't remember the name of the sitcom, but she was like running a bar in her backyard.
Oh yeah, wait, hold on, I'll look it up. I know she was
Yeah.
also in a couple episodes of Parks and Rec,
Yeah.
which
Oh, yeah, yeah. She dated Tom Haverford, Aziz Ansari's character, for a
Tommy.
while.
But yeah,
Was she
she's.
was she like the person that Tom ended up with? I think she was.
I think she was. Oh, the
Yeah.
TV show you're thinking about is Abby's.
Abby's. Okay. Very
Sh
generic title, but
Yeah. Yeah, she's done like a bunch of stuff. She was recently in No Hard Feelings with just Jennifer Lawrence.
mhm.
See what else we got here.
She's done a bunch of stuff. I mean,
Yeah,
I've I've seen her in enough stuff that I have goodwill towards her as a performer.
yeah.
So,
Dead to Me, Mr. Mayor, Sunnyside, Santa Clarita Diet.
okay,
Yeah, she's
bunch of
done
stuff.
a bunch of stuff.
Bunch of stuff. And yeah, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I've seen you outside a few times." So she kind of knew this was coming. Um and he's like, "So why did you break up with me?" And she's like, "Well, your life wasn't really going anywhere. We would just do the same things every freaking day, and I didn't want that in my life."
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
like in the beginning, we do see that like he does seem. It seems like he's not really happy being in a routine, but
No, no. I mean, he's obviously in a depressive spiral, but we kind of find out from this conversation that it started before the breakup, apparently. So,
yeah, yeah, exactly. Like he doesn't know how to maybe wake himself out of it, or he's just like afraid to try new
yeah,
things. But yeah, it just seemed like it seemed like she kind of caught on, like, oh, this is it. When it's not leading to anything bigger and better. Like this
yeah,
is
we're not going. And so she ended the relationship and she moved on with her life. Honestly, moved on with her life pretty fast because she's like, "Oh yeah, my kid is one already," and it's like,
damn,
"Wow."
damn, homie.
And let's do the math. Okay, so, kids one. That's 1 year there. Pregnancy's 9 months. Last I checked.
Eee.
So this is like a 3 month window where she met somebody else and
Yup.
started having a kid. I totally see why this threw Jake Johnson for a loop here.
Got knocked up ASAP.
Yeah, yeah.
Yikes.
Um, so and there's also a very funny moment when they're talking and she's like, "Okay, well, I have a question for you. What is that guy doing here?" And then they cut to a wide shot and we just see James standing a few feet behind Tom, and she's like, "Why is there a homeless dude accompanying you?"
Yeah, and then Maddie pops out the bushes too.
Yeah, yeah.
So like,
And she's
oh,
like, "I thought this would be funny, but this was way worse than I thought it would be. I am so sorry."
I am so sorry. I apologize.
Yeah,
This was a mistake.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah,
But Maddie and Tom, they really do seem to be hitting it off, and they're like, "Okay, well, let's do this. I think we can do this. I think we can make a go of this for the rest of this month."
then the two of them, like, they get to know each other better and they dance, and that's when Maddie comes clean saying, "Yeah, I don't know why
Yeah,
I told you my dad's dead. He's not dead.
yeah,
My mom and dad split when I was like 10, and neither one of them fought for their relationship. So
yeah,
he's alive. He's just out of my life." And then that's when
yeah.
Tom mentions that like his dad left their family when he was 10 as well. So
Yeah, yeah. So they do have this weird thing in common. You're like, "Ooh, is this connection significant? Is this going to be?" But Anna Kendrick seems to be playing a really good person because like she feels so bad about the awkward conversation with the ex girlfriend that she's like, "Let's just go do something fun. Let's just
yeah.
go out and let's just do." And then we cut to the three of them dancing at a club, and they're
Woo.
having a blast.
Hmm.
Um, I I'm really liking this comedy at this point. It's like a fun offbeat comedy. I enjoy it when I'm watching a movie and I feel like I haven't seen this movie a million times before, and that's the feeling I got from this movie.
Yeah, it's definitely like a new premise, and it's definitely
Hmm.
kind of. I mean, I know they're touching on things like loneliness and
Yeah,
depression and getting yourself out of a rut, and there's also a little bit of commentary about reality TV shows and whatnot.
right.
But
And it
yeah,
also has these moments where it kind of breaks into like a thriller mode because like
mm,
when Tom's getting threatened or stalked by somebody, they do it really suspensefully, and the score is really good too. It's got a really impressive score. I don't know who did the music for this, but the, great job.
yeah, very very good. So it's around day 15, and Tom is staying with Maddie and her mom. And like while they're sleeping, at one point we see one of the PAs, the PA
Yeah.
ninjas.
By the way, Tom and Maddie sleeping in the same bed with a pillow in between them because Maddie's mother
That's
is
right.
kind of old fashioned,
That's right. None of
and
that's
they're just sleeping together platonically. They're
right.
not. I mean, they've hit it off as people, but they both just seem to be like, okay, yeah, we'll just sleep in this bed. We'll be fully clothed. There won't be any hanky panky going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, no, they keep it the whole throughout the whole show. It's or the whole show. The whole movie is very platonic. They don't even kiss in this movie.
Yeah, it's very respectful. It's very yeah,
Mhm. Very respectful.
respecting boundaries.
Every,
Yeah.
everything's all above board.
Hmm.
But yeah, one of the PAs, was a guy Eduardo Franco, who I recognize from Stranger Things. He was in like
Oh, okay.
he was in the last season of Stranger Things, and then he warns Tom that yeah, you should, we just wanted to warn you because we actually really like you, and
Yeah.
the audience really connects to you too. We just wanted to let
Right.
you know that you're not safe here. You need to go.
You're not as safe as you think you are.
Exactly.
You think you're just going to ride it out here. That's not going to happen.
Right.
And, and at one point, Tom's like, "Well, it's just you." And then like all these other PAs just kind of emerge from like the closet, and they were hidden in the room, and they really are like ninjas.
Yeah, they like one of them doing like almost like a cartwheel out
Yeah.
of nowhere, just like a quiet cartwheel, and like they'll like suddenly it's all like 5 or 6 PAs all dressed in black, just
Yeah.
coming out of the shadows like Batman.
Right. Right. And this all happens when Anna Kendrick's character is in the bathroom. So again, you're kind of questioning the reality.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like they do. Like I said, they do play with it a little bit. Like, is this all happening in his head, or
Right.
is this the real life, or is this fantasy?
Mm.
Caught in a landslide. No
Yeah.
escape
No
from.
escape from reality.
Yeah. Scaramouche, Scaramouche. Okay. Um. Okay. So where are we? All right. So yeah. So the two of them get freaked
You were
out.
breaking into song.
Yeah. No. No. We got to keep it moving. We got to keep it moving.
Okay.
I won't break in the song. Yeah. So Tom gets freaked out. He tells Maddie that they should go to a motel, and
Yeah.
so they go to this like kind of rundown motel where they think it'll be safer.
Right.
And yeah, and then they have like a nice little heart to heart where Tom asks Maddie like, why did you decide to do this? Why did you sign up for this? And she said, yeah, I was dangerously bored. I was just
Mm.
really kind of in a low place and just super bored. And then Tom is like, yeah, it was the same thing. Like I was super lonely. I was in a rut and I just want to be around people.
Yeah.
So yeah, there is like the theme of just loneliness and despondent people just kind of
That
needing to.
you just wanted to feel something. You wanted to just break out of the routine. And again, I
Mm,
was like, oh, yeah, I get that. I've been there. I've been
yeah,
there.
we've all been there, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So then they decide. Like it seems like somebody all while they're in the hotel room, somebody kind of tries to break in, but like he wakes up and Tom wakes up and then the guy leaves and pretends to be like a maintenance guy. He's kind of dressed like
Right.
Mario.
Yeah. And
And
we have a very funny tangent about like him looking like Mario, and then like, oh, if he's Mario, then I'm Mario's nemesis. So I'm no wait, no, actually I'm Mario because you're after me, and and wait, does that make you Luigi? Or she's like, I'm not Princess Peach, and and we have a couple scenes like that where they just go on a fun tangent, and
yeah.
we do like our fun tangents here on the SNL Nerds.
Oh, do we? Oh, we
Yes,
do. I mean, if we had our way, this whole podcast would just be one long tangent.
it pretty much is, Darren.
What? Wow, it is.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Anyway, so
Whoa.
this movie is hitting us right where we live at this
Yeah.
point.
Uh,
They have a few scenes like that, and it's a fun. It's a definite part of what I'm assuming is Jake Johnson's comedic voice. I mean, it's
yeah,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah. So I think at this time, Tom wants to leave because somebody came in, but like Maddie convinces them to stay. So they stay
right,
in the hotel together, spending every waking moment together, and they're really
yeah.
bonding, and they really like each other. So So around
we
date
have kind of a montage of them
montage.
just sort of bonding and getting together. And yeah, it's not heavy romantic vibes yet, but they're getting closer. You know, we see them like, you know, wrestling and roughhousing on the bed, or just, you know, kicking back watching movies and just doing stupid shit, and, you know,
Yeah.
just hanging out together and just enjoying each other's company. And
Yeah, just two
you're like, oh
pals. Yeah, just
yeah, this is nice.
yeah, piggyback rides and the whole
Hmm.
shebang. So,
Yeah, yeah,
like around day 19, we see that Tom gets another message from his Craigslist ad saying, "Hey, I'm also a participant in this. I have info that you might be interested in. We should meet up."
right.
Um, and of course, Tom wants
And
to go and meet.
Tom wants to go. He's like, let's go. We could find out more about how to play this game and all this. And Maddie's like, no, why should we? We got a good thing going. Let's just stay sequestered here in the hotel and ride it out. And he's like, no, we could learn something. This is
Yeah,
important. So yeah,
yeah, yeah.
so they go out and meet the guy at the same bar.
Yes, at the same bar, this guy named Charlie, and the guy tells him that the game is pretty much a joke, and like they kind of always choose people who are kind of weak, and they take advantage of people who are struggling with doubt,
Yeah,
and like they have a certain type of people who they always pick, like
right.
like I said, people struggling with self doubt. The name of the show is called DOG, Delusions of Grandeur, and it's actually a comedy.
Yeah,
So, like, he even says himself that he's being chased by like a guy dressed as a sumo wrestler and another guy dressed as Sinbad, the
right,
comedian Sinbad.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They specify the comedian
Yeah,
Sinbad.
not from the children's books.
Right, right. Not Arabian Nights Sinbad.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, that's quite a plot twist. I mean, you know, yeah, we potentially have like a Truman Show type of thing going on here.
Yeah,
Um, and
absolutely.
yeah, we got Tom and Maddie. They're kind of clashing with this.
Yeah, because Maddie hears all this, it kind of freaks her out, and
Yeah,
she decides that she kind of needs space to herself, and she wants to be by herself. Tommy's like, that doesn't make sense,
yeah,
but
because
like,
they can come and get you if you're by yourself.
yeah,
Yeah,
but like, technically, uh, Tom still has James, and Maddie still has her mom, so
yeah,
they would both be okay. But like the fact that Maddie wants to go and needs space, kind of makes Tom feel a little weird and flustered.
yeah, yeah.
Right. So
Because
yeah,
they had a good thing going. And yeah, and yeah, I was kind of surprised to see Anna Kendrick just kind of depart from the movie for a while at that point.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's very
I was like, oh,
yeah. Well,
I
let's see
like
more
those
of
two
her.
together.
Yeah. So at this point, it's around day 22. Tom's kind of flipping out over it, and he's like just getting like the pressure is getting to him. He's staying with his sister, I believe, at this
Hmm.
point. And at night, one of the PAs wakes him up, telling him to that there's a limo outside, and he needs to go
Yeah,
out to it. So he goes out to the limo, looks into it.
and we're like, oh, are we going to see Andy Samberg again? Was did he just have that bit in the beginning? Are we going to get more Andy Samberg? I thought I saw more of him in the trailer, so I was like, I was kind of expecting to see Andy Samberg again.
Yeah, but we don't get Andy Samberg, not yet.
No,
In,
no.
Instead, we get Tom's absentee father, played by
Hmm.
Christopher Lloyd.
Great Christopher Lloyd. The
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd. I mean, Back to the Future, Taxi, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Mm.
Yeah, Christopher Lloyd. He's so amazing,
It's
man.
Christopher Lloyd, man's a legend.
Yeah, Clue, Clue.
Clue! Show some goddamn respect.
Yeah,
It's, man's an icon.
I mean, he's one of those guys who improves everything he's in. He was a Klingon in Star Trek 3, man.
Yeah. Yeah, he
He
did do
fought
that.
Captain Kirk.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I mean, my God. Man's man's beautiful.
he's a legend. He's a
He is.
fucking legend.
Show some, yeah.
Um,
Get on your knees and bow to the king.
Yeah,
Yeah. I don't know
and
who I'm screaming at.
I'm honestly like when I saw Christopher Lloyd's name in the credits, I'm like, I am so excited we get to cover a movie that features Christopher Lloyd
Mm,
in this podcast.
yeah,
We did Clue before, didn't we?
we did do Clue. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we've done Christopher Lloyd before, but this is how excited I am. I'm always excited to see Christopher Lloyd in the movie.
Yeah, he might have been in. Wasn't he in Man on the Moon too, for like a little bit?
Yeah, he was. He was playing himself in Man on the Moon when they
Right.
were flashing back to Andy Kaufman's days on Taxi because
Yep.
they got pretty much the entire Taxi cast to play themselves
Yeah,
as they.
Except for Dan DeVito, he was of course in another role.
Yeah, because Danny DeVito was playing Andy Kaufman's manager. And anyway, let's do our episode of Bad Man on the Moon.
Yeah.
It's an entertaining movie.
Mhm.
But so anyway, Christopher Lloyd is in here. It's Tom's dad. He hasn't seen his dad in like 30 years.
Yeah, and he's like, "What are you
And
doing here, Dad? What is happening?"
yeah,
And yeah,
and he's like, I'm living in Cleveland now. I've got a nice life.
he's sober.
I'm sober now. I was contacted by Wayne Brady.
Yeah, this part I was like, "What is happening? What is this? What the what?"
So apparently, everybody who joins this game is first contacted by a random celebrity, which I kind of love.
Yeah, it's like, all right, Wayne Brady, TV's Wayne
Yeah,
Brady.
yeah, and they they put me in touch with you, and 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 Tom's like, look, I can't have this big conversation with my absentee father who I haven't seen for 30 years now. And Christopher Lloyd also says like, oh, don't worry, Maddie is safe. And Tom's like, wait, what happened to Maddie? What's going on?
Right,
It's very freaky. It's very disturbing.
right. It is. It's a little. It is.
Yeah.
It's a weird scene, man. But it's a good scene. It's actually effective. Like, yes, there is the weirdness of like, where has his father been this whole time? But at the same time,
Hmm.
while you're dealing with that, they are able to sort of weave in a bit of a reconciliation between the father and son for him leaving the family. So it is kind of bittersweet and touching, as well as odd and confusing. I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah. I think that sums up this movie well.
Yeah, yeah, very pretty much. But yeah, so they do have like a little bit of a heart to heart. Like, the
Hmm.
father of course apologizes for leaving the family, and like they come to some sort of understanding, I guess at the end, you could say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is some closure between Tom and his dad now.
Yeah, yeah, and we're kind of barreling towards the climax because we're getting towards the end of the month and towards the end of the movie, and yeah,
Right.
we're up in the stakes a bit.
Right. Like Tom's dad said, don't be like me, don't fuck up a good thing. And Tom
Yeah,
takes that to heart. So around day 26, Tom goes to Maddie's house, and Maddie tells him another truth. Like,
yeah,
we've seen that Maddie's kind of lied about her dad in the past, and now Maddie comes clean and says, yeah, I was never playing the game. Like,
yeah,
I responded to your ad because, I was bored and lonely, and I thought the ad was like some weird, elaborate role play type of
uh-huh,
thing. But then after she saw their meeting with Charlie, the guy in the restaurant, she realized, oh, this might be real, or at least he believes it real, and like that's why she got rattled and ran.
yeah.
So yeah, that all makes sense.
Did you
Um,
see that coming?
no, that actually kind of took me off guard.
That surprised me too. I was like, oh, she's not really in the game, and I was almost a little disappointed. I was like, oh, I kind of wanted them to be in the together, but
Yeah, and also like part of me thought, well, when I thought they were both in the game, I was like, well, if they're both in the game, can't they both get shot? Because like neither one of them is an innocent bystander. They're both targets. So couldn't you just like pop a cap in both their asses?
I hadn't thought of that.
Uh,
But that's a good point. I don't know. Yeah.
all right, I'm just saying. But so Tom's dealing with this processing this news, and he gets a call about his mom and his sisters telling him to come home. So he runs home, and on the way of running home, he bumps into this person that looks and sounds a little bit like Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, we find out it was mentioned earlier in the movie when Tom's seeing his ex-girlfriend Teresa and they haven't seen each other in a couple of years, and he's like, hey, what did you think about when Ellen DeGeneres got canceled?
Mm,
And I think he means like not her talk show coming to an end, but her being quote unquote canceled as a person, because like a
right.
lot of her bad behavior came to light. um, and she's like, yeah, that was wild, right? And then he's attacked by this person who is made up to look like Ellen DeGeneres, but it's not the real Ellen DeGeneres. It's
Yeah.
just like somebody in makeup who looks and sounds like Ellen DeGeneres.
Yeah, like it's established that Tommy's ex was a huge fan of Ellen DeGeneres. Like in the first shot,
Yeah,
we see like an old picture of the two of them when they were together in front of
that's
the
right.
Ellen DeGeneres studios. I guess they saw her live.
Yeah, he mentions that they saw her live a couple times, so that was a
Right.
thing that they had done together. So,
Yeah.
um,
So then we see this Ellen DeGeneres impersonator who's trying to convince Tommy that she's a
yeah,
real Ellen DeGeneres. She tells him to get into the car, and of course he
right.
says no, and then she
You
whips
you
out.
don't even have a limo, and she's like, I like a Lincoln Town Car.
It is a more practical car.
Yeah,
It's just as fancy and more practical. That's all I'm saying.
it just this movie has some nice absurd touches throughout, which I really liked. And again, I liked how they go on those little tangents.
They're good tangents. They're good.
Hmm.
So of course he refuses to get into the car. She whips out one of those retractable batons. It immediately
Yeah,
begins beating him with it, and like so hard that one of his teeth falls out or gets
knocks
chipped.
out his front tooth.
Damn.
Well, actually, doesn't knock it completely out. It's like his tooth is like chipped. Like his tooth broke.
Yeah,
Which, wow.
I didn't know those batons could do that or had that. I guess with
I
enough
mean,
force.
fake Ellen DeGeneres has an extraordinary amount of upper body strength, more than you would expect.
Yeah, just, she don't miss the arm days.
Yeah,
She in the gym working out.
yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts.
Mhm. Absolutely. So at this point, like Ellen or fake Ellen runs away.
Mhm.
James runs up to Tom, and then there's like a few other bystanders that
Yeah,
kind of see everything, and so that's what makes Ellen hightail it out of there.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and
So James is with Tom, and they get to Tom's mom's house. Surprise, surprise! It's actually an intervention for Tom.
yeah, they've hired somebody to do the intervention. Who was the actress who was running the intervention? Was that Karen Maruyama?
Ooh, you possibly
I'm
yeah.
I'm I'm just looking at the cast list here on Letterboxd, so I don't have her picture here. Um,
Uh,
but yeah, it's Karen Maruyama. She was on. Let's see, she's been on the Jamie Foxx show, Strip Mall, Suddenly Susan, Arrested Development,
a strip mall. Wow, I haven't thought about that show.
Curb Your Enthusiasm. Yeah, she's done a lot of stuff. I was like, oh hey, it's that person. So
Yeah.
I've seen her. She's a member of the Groundlings.
Yes,
Oh, and
yes.
she's been on both the American and British versions of Whose Line Is Anyway. That's probably where I know her from.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Tight. All right.
yeah.
Uh,
Anyway,
yeah.
yeah, but so the family's running the intervention. Oh, and she was in Barb and Star. Go to Vista Del Mar. Okay,
Ooh.
so
But yeah, the family is very worried about Tom. I mean, as they should be,
yeah.
because he shows up looking disheveled with a chipped tooth, and
And
they're like,
another insane story about a weird celebrity encounter. He's like, I met my dad. I I was attacked by Ellen DeGeneres. He
yeah.
knocked a tooth out, and his family's like, um, "You really need to take this intervention seriously, because this mediator cost a lot of money."
Yeah. I would probably be the person to bring that up too if I were doing it. Like this motherfucker costs a lot. Come on, man.
I mean, look, yeah, I've never paid for an intervention. I've never hired somebody to run one, but yeah, I would get bent out of shape if I'd gone to that trouble and expense and it wasn't going well.
Yeah, they can't be cheap. That's
No,
got to be a pretty penny.
yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean, worth it. I'm
yeah,
sure it's worth it.
yes, yes, absolutely, yes, of course. Mental health is very important.
Yes,
But come on, but we ain't made of money.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but yeah, so like everybody's very worried about his mental health. It seems
Hmm.
to be kind of he, yeah, he's just not in a great place right now. Even as they're talking to him, he sees like people outside the house lurking in the shadows, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, I see them, but like I can't tell you. As soon as you turn around, they're gonna disappear, and you
Right.
won't see them, and you're gonna think I'm crazy because there are
Yeah.
people lurking in the shadows that I can see and you can't." And
Yeah.
so, yeah, he's
And
whew,
so he like steps outside, and then like the family immediately sees him and his buddy James, his homeless buddy James, running away.
yes.
And I think at this point, like, it's basically just Tom and James on the run together, and they're like hiding out under a bridge. And at this point, James tells him, he's like, "Oh, actually, my name's Walter. Um, I just thought you should know my real name." And he's like, "Well, where did I get James from?" And Walter's like, "I don't know. You just started calling me James, and I just went with it."
Yeah, and Tom is like, I think Tom even says, "Yeah, sometimes my brain makes stuff up." Which is something they kind of mentioned earlier, like when
Uh
his
huh.
sisters were talking to him about, you know, the stories or what they thought were stories that Tom was making up. And it's like, yeah, didn't you remember when Dad left? You told everybody he went to Japan to become a samurai, and
Hmm.
like you told everybody to call you Michael Jackson for like a year. Like
Yeah.
he seems to have,
Michael Jackson. That was the other great tangent that they had at the club.
yes, oh, with the jacket, yes.
When he's attacked by the 7 foot basketball player, he's like Jake Johnson runs back to the people standing in line waiting to get in the club, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this guy attacked me, and he was wearing like a Michael Jackson Thriller jacket." And one guy in line is like, "Actually, that the red jacket with the zippers, that was in Beat It. That wasn't in Thriller." A lot
Mhm.
of people make that mistake. It's a similar sort of thing, but
Yeah, I had to go back and watch the videos to make sure he.
oh,
Uh,
did you?
I
Did
was,
you really?
yeah, I was like, son of a bitch, he's right.
And then I love when Jake Johnson is leaving, he just goes up to the guy in line and he's like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I appreciate that you cared so much about the accuracy of the Michael Jackson
Mhm.
jacket stuff. I was a big fan of his. I was really screwed up when he died."
It's like, me too,
It's
man.
just so funny.
Yeah. It's like, thanks, man. Thank
Thanks, I appreciate that.
you.
It's just so random. It's so out there. It has nothing to do with anything, but it's damn, it's a funny tangent.
It's a funny tangent. It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at this point we see now Walter and Tom
Hmm.
just together in one of those homeless encampments in downtown.
Yeah.
And like so
Yeah.
yeah, so now Tom is basically living on the streets with Walter, kind of drinking under a bridge and whatnot. Uh,
Hmm.
so then we get up to day 27, and which is the next morning, and Tom wakes up in the street, and
Yeah.
Walter's not around. So
Right.
they kind of, he spends days looking for him,
Uh huh.
kind of looking for him throughout this the homeless encampment center. In the streets, day 28 goes by, still can't find Walter. Day 29 and 30 goes by,
Yeah.
and yeah, so he made it to a month, and he's now
Right.
living in the streets amongst the homeless
Yeah.
folks.
Still missing the tooth.
Still
Still
missing the
missing half
tooth.
his tooth.
Yep.
And then he's approached by the PAs again, the production assistants, the ninja production assistant team, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we took Walter away because honestly, the audience isn't really responding to your storyline that well. I feel like it's been getting kind of monotonous. You've been in this homeless encampment for a while, so we gotta goose things up."
Yeah. See, this is where I feel like they were doing a little commentary on reality TV shows for sure,
Uh huh.
where they're like, it's like because like a lot of times the producers will like step in and
Yeah.
kind of, juice things up just to spice up the show a
they
bit.
they always try to amp up the conflict and
Right.
and yeah, and I particularly in like all those reality shows where like people are living together, you know people are very, from what I understand, they're very isolated from the outside world, so really like the only people you have to interrelate to are the people in that house or whatever, and you can't watch the news, you can't call people on the phone or whatever, it's all just you and your interactions with those people. And then you have like these interviews, and it's like, "Oh, well, Chester's been bad mouthing you. What's up with that, huh?" And
Yeah. They try to
so,
start some drama.
God, I'd never want to be on a reality show.
I
That just sounds like a nightmare,
It
man.
like I don't look. I mean, like listeners, like we don't. poo poo you if you don't want to yuck your yum if you enjoy reality shows, but I really can't understand because I think I remember like what was it? Somebody mentioned to made some joke about how like yeah, it's just people who aren't actors acting out
Mhm.
scenarios that are written by people who aren't writers, and like you're
Not
watching.
union writers anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and you're kind of watching this or half-heartedly watching this as if this was a real situation, which it's not. Oh,
Yeah.
Dana Gould said this,
Okay.
and
Okay.
it's like he said you're watching an amateur production of nothing. Like I really like
Yeah.
I've seen like a couple of reality shows and I felt myself get dumber. Like I felt brain cells die, and I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I
I
gotta
mean,
turn this mess off.
and I don't want to say like the entire genre is bad, but like
Uh,
there's so many more bad shows than good. I mean, but like I've watched and enjoyed the occasional reality show. I was a big fan of Last Comic Standing
yeah.
and that newest show, Jury Duty.
Oh
I've,
yeah.
I've only seen the first episode of that, but that was pretty good. I got to get back to watching the rest of that
Yeah,
because
no, it only gets better. Jury duty is,
yeah,
I mean, that's different because like there's like some improv involved in there, and it's like
right,
yeah, jury duty is really like I remember my wife and I watched that on a whim because we heard good things, and
yeah.
we just like binged the whole thing. We're like, this is really good. this is
Yeah, and James Marsden, I was watching the Golden Globes earlier this week, and he was actually nominated for a Golden Globe for that.
yeah, like
So
yeah, it's like a show that was on Freevee, which is a channel no one watches, and
yeah,
it's one of those things where just word of mouth just made it like pretty popular, and like yeah,
yeah,
guys,
yeah.
go watch Jury Duty on Freevee. It's pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it's like the premise of it. It kind of reminded me of that show, Average Joe, which
Mm.
my friend Frankie was a he really loved, and actually tied back to SNL. Kristen Wiig was on that show.
Ooh, really?
Yeah, yeah, she was like in Average. I think it was called Average Joe. Um, anyway, the premise was they found like a person who was like this sincerely good person, just nice and generous and all that, and they were doing like and he was cast in this reality show, but he didn't realize that it was a fake reality show and that everybody he was in the reality show with was actually an actor playing a character,
Hmm.
and they were supposed to play all these extreme characters, and we would see how this person uh
Okay.
reacted to all that. And then at the end of it, they all break character, and they're all like, oh, and you're such a great guy, you're so sweet, and you're so nice, and you're and then he got whatever the prize was, I think. So
Oh wow. Oh
yeah,
wow. Okay.
because he was a good person instead of like a horrible garbage person like most people on reality shows.
That's nice. Okay.
Yeah.
The good guys win. All right.
Yeah. See, I like that. I like it when it appeals to the better nature of people instead
Yeah.
of
I
like,
yeah.
let's watch these people catfight, like, Real Housewives or whatever.
Yeah.
No, no, thank
Yeah,
you.
let's plow them with white wine and watch the sparks fly. I'm like,
Yeah.
that sounds disgusting. Why would you do that?
Yeah. So anyway, the production assistants are telling Tom, yeah, we gotta make this exciting now because we're at the end of the month. It's almost over. We gotta it's put up or shut up time.
Right. And they basically said like if yeah, you need to get into the basically you need to get into the limo. The limo will take you to the show's grand finale. The only trick
Right.
is the limo won't come here. You have to go to it. So
Right.
once you find the limo, hop in the back seat. It'll take you to finale, and that's it. So yeah, so now he has to go like everybody else in the homeless on the streets are asleep. So
Yeah.
he sex for one woman walking down the street by herself. He follows that
Yeah.
woman, um, and she's like, "Why are you following me?" Type of
Yeah.
thing.
They stop at the same bus stop, and she's like, "Yeah, why are you shadowing me?" And he's like, "Oh, yeah, no, I'm not. I just happen to be doing the same thing as you."
Yeah,
And then we see the guy next to him, and we quickly realize he's one of the hunters. He's one of the people who's going to try and kill him.
yeah. He's like
And so,
this guy in a cowboy hat,
yeah, yeah,
and he talked to Tommy saying, "Yeah, you've been a formidable opponent, and like, have you
hmm,
noticed that this game has been like specifically set up for you?
yeah,
Um, like all your interests, like the giant guy was wearing a Michael Jackson jacket,
right,
the video games and Ellen DeGeneres. It's all your dad. It's all kind of catered towards you. Have you picked up on that?" And I don't think Tommy had. And then we sees like a pack of people kind of walking by them, so he follows the pack of people and kind of blends into the back with them.
Yeah.
and of course, then the cowboy follows him, and then he's able to break free from the group, and he just like runs a lot of running, just running down alleyways, hops.
Running, and again, very impressive score in this movie. I need to look up who did the score
Yeah, yeah,
because I was very impressed with the music in this thing.
right, exactly.
But do go on. I'm
Yeah, so he's running down the street. He's running down the alleyways. Somebody in a car kind of tries to plow him over, follows him. He hops a fence.
yeah.
He sees the limo. He jumps into the backseat of the limo, and of course, there once again, Mr. Andy Samberg.
Mr. Andy Samberg. By the way, the music, the composer in this movie, Dan Romer. So nice
Ooh,
job, Dan Romer. I was very impressed with the music throughout.
thumbs up,
So
Mr. Romer.
so anyway, Andy Samberg in the back of the limo. We got Andy Samberg again.
Mm-hmm.
So yay.
Yeah, yay! And of course, Andy's reading off cards again because he does not know what's happening. He's like basically he says, "Congratulations, you've made it to the grand finale. Now we're going to give you two options. You can either keep on playing,
Right.
or you can end the game now and go home. Nothing will happen to you, but you will not get any money.
You go home with nothing. Yeah.
You lose. Good taste."
Good day, sir. I said good day.
Yes.
Uh,
And of course, Tom is like, "No, I'm going to keep on playing." And then Sam's like, "Why? What the fuck? Why are you doing this?"
why? This is the worst possible decision you could make. And we learned like a little more like at first I thought like Andy Samberg was playing the game himself and like oh he had to like get somebody else into the game so he could be released or something like that but no apparently he was just hired as to do these limo rendezvous and Andy Samberg's like got some bad debts or something
Yeah,
like that he's like
yeah. They kind of go like Andy Samberg kind of goes off in a tangent too, where he's like, "All right,
yeah
like I'm doing what you tell me to do. Once I get the money and I can pay off who I got to pay off, and then I'm good." Type of thing.
right
Like he's
right
yeah,
Andy Samberg's kind of washing his hands of
yeah.
this which is
Andy's made
it's
yeah
pretty funny yeah.
he's made some bad decisions.
Yes, and I love that we don't really get into that. We just, Andy Samberg's got his whole off-screen subplot going
Yeah,
on.
like
His whole, yeah.
he's made a few bad he's made some bad choices. Some he doesn't want to talk about it.
I guess all that Brooklyn Nine money is just
Yeah,
long gone.
yeah. That hot rod money is nowhere to be found.
Yeah. So
Yeah. So the limo drives them both back to the warehouse.
right,
Um, Tom hops out, and then we see somebody dressed as a sumo wrestler saying, "Hey, Tommy, come over here. I got some info about Maddie." And then we
right,
see somebody dressed as Sinbad saying, "Hey, come over
yeah,
here, man. Come over here." And then they chase both those guys chase him through the warehouse as
right.
Tommy runs towards the room where the producers were originally. And
Yes,
then at one point, we see somebody dressed as a samurai chasing him with the sword, which is like a
right.
nod to the samurai thing that they said earlier in the movie. So all these people are chasing Tommy, running and screaming through the entire warehouse. Tommy finally makes it to the room where he saw the producers in the beginning of this movie. The room's
Right.
empty. The room's totally empty. There's no one there.
Nobody there. Nobody there.
Yeah,
Totally dark. It's deserted. Not even the tables.
right.
And then like boom, big floodlights come on, and everybody's like, "Yay, you did it!"
Yeah, because like for a minute there, I did think like when he ran into the room and like there was totally empty. For a minute, I was like, "Well, is this all in his head?" Like,
Yeah,
I mean, if you like seriously, like if you think about that, like, oh yeah, sumo wrestler, samurai, and Sinbad are chasing you
yeah.
through an empty.
It's getting increasingly more surreal. Yeah.
Yeah, it is like, is he insane? Is he having a
See,
meltdown?
I wasn't really questioning that throughout the movie. I probably should have been, but I was just for some reason I was taking everything I saw in the movie at face value. I was just like, okay, this is just a world where this weird surreal stuff happens.
Like, yeah, man, man dresses
I never really questioned whether or not the game was real. So
like, yeah, man dresses 90 Sinbad chases you through a warehouse. Okay,
yeah, no,
yeah,
I mean that hasn't happened to you.
yep. I mean, not today. But
Yeah,
yeah. So, but like,
but like within the last month.
I of course, I mean, I don't know how you could avoid it.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, like Tommy gets there. He said, "I did it. I beat your game. It's made me stronger. You thought it'd break me, and
Hmm.
yeah, turns out the whole game was real, and he wins $1,000,000.
1,000.
Yeah,
That would be a horrible bait and switch.
you win a grand. But yeah, he wins $1 million in
Mhm.
Danish kroners, which is the official currency of Greenland.
Yes. Just one other, at first I thought it was going to be like, oh, he gets 1 million in that currency, and it's like some sad amount in U.S. currency. But no, apparently it is $1 million, but in 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 the currency of Greenland. Okay.
Yeah, I was trying to see what the currency exchange rate was.
Oh, you went down a research rabbit hole, sir.
I think so. I think like one Danish kroner equals 0.12 GPB. I'm not sure what that means. Hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
I'll look up
global. Uh,
booty. All right. All right.
yeah.
I'll look it up. But
Global booty units. I
yes.
don't know. Yeah.
But I'll look up the currency exchange rate. But yeah. So he won $1 million in Danish kroners, and
Yeah.
yeah, he tells his. The next day he relays the news to his family. He chastises all of them for not believing in him. The
Right.
sister and the mom. Oh, he also gets his tooth fixed. And so yeah, so he will get 1 million in Danish kroners, but he'll get about 4 grand a month for 250 months. So
Yeah.
yay!
Yeah. And his brother-in-law works it out, and he's like, oh, that's like this many years. Oh.
Yeah, but yeah, he got it though. Yay! Yay!
That's I mean, that's great. Yeah, he'll get like 4,000 a month, and I'm like, yeah, actually, that doesn't sound that bad. I could live on that, I think.
Yeah, you can make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's and of course it seems like his family is still kind of not 100% sure this whole thing was real or not, because it seems like, oh, he's well, but it seems like he's happier and
Right.
he's more well adjusted, and that's all they care about. And
Yeah, it shook him out of his complacency, which is nice.
yes, and they to sort of prove that this whole thing really did happen. Tom is joined by Wayne Brady.
Wayne Brady making a random cameo in the end of the movie. He's billed as a special guest in the credits,
Yeah.
and it's just like, oh, hey, thanks for doing this, Wayne Brady. And he's like, oh yeah, my pleasure.
Oh, well, absolutely. So yeah, so it's yeah, yeah. So it seems like he's finally got he's getting his life back together. Uh, Him and Walter have an apartment now, and
Yeah,
then we see Tom going back to check on Maddie, and he does that
yeah,
thing that he did in the beginning of the movie where he is hesitant to knock on the door at first, but then he actually goes ahead and knocks on the door. And
yeah, yeah. I was like, oh, are we gonna leave this up in the air? Are we gonna get all the Paul Giamatti wine movie? What
oh, Sideways.
Sideways? Are we gonna get Sideways with this?
Oh, jeez.
Where it's like, oh, I gotta I gotta ring Virginia Madsen's bell. Is she gonna be home? And
She's gonna be home. I don't know. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay,
I
so
didn't know you had you didn't have a I didn't know you had a Giamatti in your back pocket.
it,
Wow.
I'm a man of many mysteries, my friend.
Wow.
Yeah, see.
5 years.
Yep.
5 years. You got a Giamatti? You've been holding out on me, sir.
Have a lot of layers to me, good sir. I'm just I'm an onion wrapped in a riddle and a rhyme.
I mean, just like if I was looking at the two of us cold and said like which one of these guys has a Paul Giamatti impression in his back pocket, I would have guessed me.
Nope.
But no, it's you.
Oh, jeez. I don't know, man. Oh God, I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
Oh, oh God, oh, jeez. Okay.
Oh, we got to do a Paul Giamatti movie.
There's got to be one that has an
I
SNL
love
thematic.
that guy. I love that guy. Yeah.
I'll look it up. I'm sure.
I'm gonna look up his filmography. But hey, we're almost done. We're almost done.
Well, no, I mean, no, we actually are done. That's the movie.
Yeah.
Like it ends on a very ambiguous note, like what happens
Yeah.
to Tom and Maddie. But either way, it seems like Tom is in a better place. He's out of his rut. He's over
Hmm.
his stuff with his dad and his ex, and he's ready
Yeah.
to move on and maybe make his life a little bit better. And all it
Yeah.
took was the promise of $1 million and an attempt on his
And
life.
people trying to kill him for
Yes,
a month.
absolutely. And once you have that in your life, folks, you too can can your life will make changes for the better.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Fun movie. I enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, a good part of me kind of wishes it was a little bit longer so they could like kind of flesh out the characters a little bit more and
I could have done with a little more Anna Kendrick. I was
yeah.
sorry to see her, you know, depart the movie when she did.
Hmm.
I could have stood a little more of Anna Kendrick running around with Jake Johnson.
Yeah.
I think they're a fun couple.
Yeah. They're a fun couple, good chemistry.
Hmm.
But yeah, overall, interesting premise. You know, Jake Johnson's a pretty solid director. I thought the directing was good, and
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's got a good look to it. I mean, there's some very funny moments and a lot of night shooting in this. Like
mm,
that's must have been a I know night shooting kind of wears on on the cast after a while, and I think I read that this had a 19-day uh, shooting schedule, so and a lot of that had to be at night. So,
right, absolutely. And I actually did a little research. I saw the Decider did an article about this movie and this ambiguous ending.
mm.
And they talked to Johnson about it, and he basically said he was fine with that sort of ambiguous ending as was the game show real or not. And he said the way they ended it, it seems very likely that it was real. And he also says, as the writer of it, I wanted both possibilities to work 100%. He said Wayne Brady's cameo in the final scene seems to indicate that not only was Tommy telling the truth about this crazy game show, that he was right. And Johnson says the cameo was added to provide a clear ending, after test audiences rejected multiple, more ambiguous endings.
Oh, so he shot multiple endings for this. That's interesting. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. It says the ending of this movie really changes the viewing experience in a way that I didn't expect, Johnson said. It's probably just my lack of experience, but for me, and I know this seems naive, but it's choose your own adventure. The ending doesn't matter. The journey is what matters.
Oh,
But for audiences, those last 10 minutes really matter. Andy Samberg, who produced the film, big push was that it should end in a very clean way, and that's understandable.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, we know Jake Johnson. He's got to be a Gen X guy if he's throwing out the choose your own adventure references.
Damn straight. But he also says
Yeah.
Johnson knows that the Brady cameo won't convince everyone the game show was real, and again, he's fine with that. Quote, I had people say to me that Wayne Brady cameo doesn't prove anything. You can pay anyone to do anything. I was like, you're dead right. The truth of the matter is,
We are in the age of cameos, so
yeah.
yeah,
The truth of the matter
yeah.
is, if you want to believe it's not real, there's enough to believe that it's not real. I've also had somebody have a theory that Anna Kendrick's character didn't exist, and he was going to knock on somebody's door. Great. I
She was all Tyler Durden. Holy cow!
may, yeah, that's possible. I don't know if that's possible.
I mean,
Great.
I hadn't thought about it. I feel so shallow because I feel like I was taking this movie in at a very surface level. I was just accepting whatever it was throwing at me. I was like, okay, yeah, he's being attacked by this person who looks like Ellen DeGeneres now. So
Yeah. And then he says, I know that might not be the most satisfying answer, but I like the choose your own adventure aspect of it.
wow, okay,
Yeah. And one other little trivia. So the title of this movie, Self Reliance, I found out, comes from an essay written by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who had a.
yes,
The movie starts off with a quote from him. So there's
yes, it does, yeah.
yeah. So there's an essay he wrote called Self Reliance, and it's basically about the need for each person to avoid conformity and false consistency and follow his or her own instincts and ideas.
Okay,
So
all right. So
that's why it's called Self Reliance. The movie. It's based
that's
on that.
highbrow. That's like,
Yes.
yeah. I think the only thing I don't like too much about the movie is the title. Like Self Reliance just hasn't stuck in my head. Like we've been talking about doing this movie for a couple weeks now, and like I keep thinking like, oh, the Jake Johnson movie, and I can never remember just Self Reliance.
I will.
So
It's not a very memorable title. I will give you that.
it's yeah, but I mean, I guess it's sort of like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I mean, it's
Yeah.
drawn from a quote, so
Yeah.
I get why he went that way.
Yeah.
So that's more my problem than his.
Yeah. So I pulled up like a currency converter, and according to this, so a
Uh
million
huh.
kroner roughly comes out to about 146,810 US dollars.
Okay, so is that what he got, or was it 1 million in the foreign currency?
I put in a million in the Danish kroner. I think that's what he's getting,
Okay,
$1 million in Danish
but
kroner.
wasn't it supposed to be $1 million? Wouldn't he just be getting that amount in Danish kroner? I'd have to
Oh,
look at those scenes again, honestly.
boy. Let's see, if $1 million in the US would be around 6 million in Danish kroners.
Okay.
Okay, well, this just turned confusing. I was told
Okay.
there'd be no math.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I like this movie. I got a kick out of it. I kind of wanted it to be a little bit longer, but other than that, solid film.
Yeah. Apparently, it was originally conceived as a limited series. He's Jake.
Hmm.
I'm looking at his interview on Decider now, and he says, "I saw it as more episodic. I thought each turn and reveal would be a fun end to a 22-minute episode. I pitched it to Netflix back during my New Girls days, and they passed. I got my feelings hurt, and I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. I'm a big baby, so I just put my ball away and said, I don't want to play anymore. And then he actually finished it during the pandemic. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
This. I mean, I guess I could see this working as a TV show, but
I could see it kind of similar to that Paul Rudd show, Living with Yourself.
I never saw that. Was that good?
It's Paul Rudd. Of
Uh,
course, it's
you
good.
know what? That's a
Yeah,
stupid question. I apologize.
it's Paul Rudd, and he clones himself. So there are two Paul Rudds. There's Paul Rudd playing opposite himself as Paul Rudd. At certain points, Paul Rudd dances. Um, I really enjoyed it. I haven't seen it since it was first out,
Mm.
however many years ago it was. But I really liked it. I think, was that on Netflix?
It was.
I think it was on Netflix.
It is. Like I remember, like I was gonna watch it and I just never did. But
It's worth seeing.
okay, I'll
It's
I'll
worth
give it a
seeing.
shot.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. And so yeah, that's our episode, guys. Thanks again for listening as always. Self
Hmm.
Reliance out on Hulu right now. Check it out. It's a good.
Yeah.
It's a quick movie too. It's only like an hour and 25 minutes. It goes by real quick.
Moves along quickly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
thumbs up from us, we'd say.
thumbs up. 2 thumbs up.
Hmm.
Yes.
Absolutely. And
Yeah. Siskel and Ebert are both dead, so I don't think they're using that
oh
anymore. Yeah.
Jesus.
We're claiming it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take that as ours now.
Yeah.
We're picking the bones like the vultures we are, and taking the 2 thumbs up.
That's right. But yeah. If you like the show, thank you for listening. You can follow us on the socials. We're on Twitter, because we refuse to call it X, at SNL Nerd Show. So give us a follow over there.
Yep.
And you can follow me individually at Trumbull Comic, TRUMBULL, and the word comic.
And you can follow me at Darren Credible, DARIN Credible, on all platforms.
All platforms, every single one.
All of them, everywhere.
Yeah. Tinder?
No, I'm a happily married man.
Grindr?
So there. What?
Grindr?
Maybe. No.
Okay.
No.
I'm just checking. You said everyone.
I did say that.
That is social media. Anyway, so we'll be back next week with a brand new episode of SNL with what's his name again? Elnor.
You say Eleanor?
It's Elnor, something like that.
Jacob Elordi.
Elordi. Yeah.
Oh, Elordi Bagordi.
Never gonna remember that. Yeah.
Jacob Elordi, Renee Rapp.
Okay.
I'll
hope I like them.
Oh, I hope so. Fingers crossed.
We'll see. We'll check it out. We'll check it out. We'll be back here. We'll meet you back here next week. We'll tell you what we think. But until then, nerds out.
This has been a non-productive media presentation. Executive producer Frank Hablawi. This program and many others like it on the Non-Productive Network is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. Please share it, but ask before trying to change it or sell it. For more information, visit non-productive.com.